All right, class. So next, tracing, and we're gonna use this part right here to refresh our memory on a couple of commands. Okay, and again, our task, our objective is simple. Much like you guys did by hand, which is utilizing this grid that you have right here in the background, we're now going to trace the pieces of the puzzle that you guys have here in your inventory. Okay, so let's take a look at how to do that. So I'm gonna trace this right here. Probably wanna have both windows open, and maybe not the. And probably you wanna have this as well set up like this. Okay, and we have our sheet right here. If you want, it depends on how you have oriented things, but you can always take this sheet right here. And again, please feel free to pause and follow along as you need. If I go maybe too fast on certain things, but I type copy, select everything, press enter or spacebar, click right here, hold shift, click again, and I have a copy right there. Escape. I can select this right here using the gumball. I click on that blue um, um, segment of the circle. I press 90, type 90, press enter, and I have rotated this 90 degrees. If you wanted to, again, match, right, it's exactly like we have them right here, which totally valid. Okay. And I'm going to go to another pen right here. I'm going to activate it. I'm going to give it a different color. Let's say that I give it that green color. Make sure that it's active with the check mark right there. And what command would you use? Well, I would use polyline. All right. So if I type polyline, enter, we can start actually tracing this right here. Right. So it doesn't matter where you start from. I'm going to start from here. Okay. So I come over here, right? So I go up 2, and then we go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, and then I click this second to last one right here, and I can either go back right there and snap back to the origin. Now notice you'll see that graphically you cannot really see that form really well. Let's see, there's a command that should work, right? If we select, and again, this is a good reminder, right, as well, that if we click on any object and we see this selection menu that appears right here, what does that mean? Well, it means that there's two objects overlapping, and that wherever you click, they meet or they're overlapped, and the software doesn't know which one exactly you are referring to, and is giving you that selection menu so that you can help the software understand which form component you're trying to manipulate, edit, or work with. So we know it's the curve right here. I think there should be a command called bring. There you go. Bring forward, bring to front. Let's select bring to front. Right. And hopefully you guys can see it. Maybe I need to change a little bit my layer color so that you guys can see that better. But it's there now. So that's a super helpful command as well. So I can bring again to front, right? And you know that overlaps. What if I wanted to bring to the back, or have this lines overlap the figure? Well, I would do the opposite. I would then select, for example, all of these lines right here, and I type bring to front, and again you'll see how certain segments have been hidden, right? Because those lines now are set to the front of that form, but we don't want that, so I'll select that one again. I type bring to front, enter. Okay, and let's continue tracing. So what was the command? Polyline, then click to right here, right here. Actually, I want to bring it all the way over here. Bring it there. And again, if I anytime that you type polyline and you go around and you click where you started, the command automatically exits because you've created sort of a loop. But you can also type C, should, right, as you see right here on the command line, and enter, and the command exits, meaning that it closes. And again, that guy right there is hidden, so I'm going to bring it to front. Actually, is there a send or send to back? Let's do that because I'm going to have to be selecting all of my forms and shapes and set them to the back. Why don't we try the opposite? Select all of that, hold shift, and select this one's over here. And I want to type send to back, which is the opposite. Okay. Now let's not forget, right? We've already taken care of B and B, but we actually need D, and D goes right. This is D right here. D goes right there. So I could either type do a polyline, right? Kind of like do all of these four corners, but wouldn't it be much easier if I just do a rectangle from here to here, right? And again, I have those overlaps, which is what we want, right? So I have B, right? B over here. And let's go for C. It's another easy one. So select the rectangle, click, click. And we can actually, well, I'm going to do, well, sure. I press enter to repeat the last command. Click there to there, right? And click there to there. And I have right away taken care of letter C, letter E, and letter E over here. Okay. The ones that we're missing are F and A. Okay. How can we do that? Well, I would suggest polyline for these ones for sure. So polyline. I'll start with the cross. Start right there. Click, click, click. By the way, you gotta make sure that your OSNAP is on. Make sure that that's on. Again, that's how we're using the grid. But if you were following and your settings were like mine over here, you should be fine. But again, that's the power of the grid, kind of like using it to snap to those objects. Make sure that I don't move out. Again, I have now the cross right there, which is letter A, right? So I have letter A over here. Oops. Get rid of, oh, there we go. And then now, lastly, my letters F. So I can do polyline. There. And then there. So again, I should have, right, one rectangle F, another one right there. Well, that's actually the F, A, I'm sorry. This one's F. Now, this is a good opportunity for us to, again, go back to this note that I made about selections, because I could try to redraw this over here and here and here, but I already have it over here and it's exactly the same. So I can actually copy and paste it over here. Now, how can I do that? Well, I can actually manipulate my selection a little bit to select only those items, because again, if I click from the bottom right to the upper left, I'm going to select everything that I touch in my selection box, right? Which is everything that lays within that dashed line. But on the other hand, if I place my corner right here, or the mouse, if I place my mouse on this upper corner, right, and then bring it down to the opposite corner, notice that it's a solid selection, solid outline, and I only select that, which is what I want. Even though my selection window is touching other lines here, 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 I end up selecting only the forms that I want So I type copy, enter, snap from there to there. Right click, enter. And if we have done things correctly, I can type copy again with proper selection tools right here, press enter, hold shift, and bring that there. Now there's something, oh, okay, so it's copy, it's a copy, okay. I was like, why do we have stuff left over there? Okay, so we're basically to up to this point, right, where we have our top view 2D pattern right here, right? So same as over here. Okay, next, let's go ahead and extrude this so that we actually end up with 3D objects like the ones that you guys drew in isometric view. Okay, so one more time, I'm going to type copy because I want to make sure that I actually end up with a copy of that template just because. All right, now I'm going to make a copy right there by holding shift. I'm going to select this right here. I'm going to go to my standard step right here, and I'm going to select zoom selected with a right click. And notice that that's going to bring me into this area right here where I have all of my shapes. I'm sorry, my selection in all of my windows. Okay, so what's next? We're going to extrude. Notice that there's a couple of extrusion options. We're going to do an ExtrudeCrv, which stands for ExtrudeCrv. Okay, select that. And I'll select this guy right there and enter when done. And what's our extrusion height? Well, we know from our exercises that it's the same as the grid or unit, which is 1. All right, so I click enter and I end up with this. And I can click on over here. Oops. I can click right here on this tab and then click shade it. So we actually see it. This is solid. Shade it. Okay. And we can do extrude, CRV, enter. And I think we should actually be able to do extrusions simultaneously. And actually, I can even snap over here like I'm doing right there. Notice how I now have all of these extruded. And if I wanted to even, simplify everything, I can select everything right there, enter, and snap to that point right there. And each of these objects right here is now a, we'll call it a solid. Okay, so I can maximize that over here. And just so that we can see, I'm not sure why I shaded. Sure, this view looks a little bit. So I shouldn't be able to see through it, but okay. I'm going to select this right there. Right, and I can move this right here. I can move this right there. I can move this right here. We can select these right here. Oh, notice that we keep. I think that's what's going on. Okay. So I can select this right here. Let me show you a setting that might be helpful at some point before we extrude. Within the ExtrudeCrv command, there's an option. All right, I'm going to select all of them. All right, enter. And there is an option up here that says delete input. And it says no. Let's see what happens when we press yes, right? So I click on it. It says yes. And again, we type 1 as the extrusion height. And if we did things correctly, we actually should be able to end up with, and let me try this one more time. This one over here. Right, this one over here. This one over there. Right, we end up with those input lines. And at this point, it might be desirable. That right there, and then maybe even this one right here, so that we can see different shapes and forms. Right, remember I can select something, hold, click down, click, hold, shift, and add to my selection. So I can actually kind of select these right there, and like bring them right here, and maybe bring this one over here, and then bring this one over here, right? So what do we end up with? Well, our 3D pieces, right? So kind of like to this point right here, right where we have our pieces. Now, I do want to take some time to actually maybe even, I'm going to select all of this, I'm going to push it over here, talk a little bit about displays. Remember that you have your display modes up here. You have your wireframe, shaded, which is what I think most of the time we're on, rendered, ghosted, X-ray, technical, right, there you go. It's giving us the hidden lines, which is, it's nice. Chart, hidden lines, what we mean by hidden lines are the dotted lines right here. Artistic, some that we don't use that much. Pen, Arctic, ray traced. Okay, I'm gonna go into the detail of all of them. Actually, I do want to bring this pen one up because if you guys recall from your exercises by hand, and actually this example has it right here. I remember that we talked about, I mean, in this isometric drawings, what you want to do is kind of outline the perimeter right here, and you see how it kind of like pops. Notice how this display mode has that, I mean, around right here, around the forms, the shapes we have right here. Just kind of like illustrate that. And then lastly, ultimately, where I wanted to get to, I'm going to go back to shaded. And remember that we can only change, we not only can change our display mode, but we can also set our view. And in this case, we are in perspective. But if we go back in there, say view, and we click on isometric, we have these 4 options right here: northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. I'm going to do southwest. And notice that our forms or shapes, our pieces right here of the your extrusions, notice that they're now in the isometric view, which should match again the views that we have over here in this sheet of paper. So that's another important tool setting to keep in mind, is this shaded set view right here and isometric, right? And again, you probably can see what's the difference. Well, let's say that that's north, right? So northeast would be right here, north, west, southwest, southeast. So let's say that I wanted to see my projects from this view. It would be this one, which is again south, and then this is east, right? So I would select that. So I go to isometric, southeast, and there you have it. Now remember, you don't want to pan or orbit or rotate, because you're going to lose your isometric view, right? So you can pan like that, or you can do your dynamic zoom like that, which again is by holding control and then right click and then scrolling in, moving your cursor in and out, or hold shift and pan like that. But if you rotate, you've lost your, well, I guess you're still in an isometric view, but you've lost your point, which is your south east, right? So again, I can always go back, set view, isometric, southeast, but it shows everything. So I can always select here and then right here, so selected, and we come right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and but something that I did want to note is that I personally prefer to draw in perspective view. So anytime that you produce a drawing that it's in the isometric, I would suggest making sure to go back to the display mode and set it back to perspective so that you don't have that sort of a rigid kind of like look, and you have a more fluid view of your model. Okay, let's go ahead and well, we did something that again I like to do is let's go ahead and move this over here. Let's go ahead and copy over here, enter from here to here, right? Extrude everything, enter, delete input, make sure that is yes, press 1, enter, and then we have our originals, and then we have our copies over here. Okay, all right, so we are now up to this point. Let's go ahead and now attempt to replicate your model, but I think first we'll start with the with the portions of it. Okay, so I think it's a good moment to maybe pause for a little bit, let you guys get to this point. Remember, go back and rewind or go back to that point, and we'll meet back for the next part of this lecture. Okay.